Hey buddies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. Today I'm bringing out a setup, play and review the game Quest, a social deduction game that is the successor to the game Avalon, or more particularly Avalon. There's Avalon the Resistance, but basically Avalon is the successor to itself, the Resistance, which is set in space. But at least in the UK and the European market, but also in the States, the Avalon themed, this medieval Arthurian lore is a lot more popular, and it's the game I've played over 100 times, to the point whereby I played multiple copies and all our tokens and stuff have kind of faded away. You can't even tell what's there. Now, I last placed this at AmassGames Con 2 at my birthday, and it was a success. Like I said, I very much like the original, and like I said, it's a social deduction game, or as this call it, a hidden loyalty game, whereby you're trying to get the good guys to succeed, the bad guys are looking to fail these various quests, and can it come down to the final quest? Now, there are various cards in play, excellent quality. I will talk about them at the review, and I will do completely how to set up play and review in a second, but the rulebook is so excellent, I just want to read some of the bits out of here too. So, Mordred's vast armies of evil hold Arthur's forces at the precipice of defeat. With the future of Britain balancing on a knife's edge, desperation compels Arthur to launch a series of hastily planned quests to tip the balance in good's favour. Leaders must choose their teams wisely and quickly, without a vote. Yet not all is lost. The forces of Arthur are aided by powerful magic and amulets to uncover the minions of Mordred hidden in their midst. If all else fails, a final quest can still bring victory. There are various character tokens, there's 26 in play. There's 5 character tokens, a leader token, magic token, 3 amulet tokens, and 3 faded amulet tokens. There's also director's cuts, which we don't really need to talk about now, but basically it just mixes up the ratio of good and evil. So if you're playing a 4 to 5 player game, you're randomly shuffling 2 to 3 good cards to evil cards, and with 6 players, the blind hunter does not raise a thumb, and in 8 players, 2 fails or requires on the 3rd and 4th quest. For those of you who are not familiar with this game, well, where have you been? But basically, that is not going to make much sense until I show you the game. So, we have various character cards. Everyone's going to be given one. You're all going to have different symbology. So you could be, for example, this symbology, which means you're evil. You are a minion of Mordred, naturally a bad person, red for bad. Or you could be, obviously, a companion of Arthur, in which case I've got this lovely yellow shield over here, or sigil. So Arthur's sigil is a yellow icon. Evil, which is Mordred, is a red sigil as well, red icon. Okay, so now a character will not be revealed at any point until the end of the game, and some people have special powers, such you have Morgan Le Fay, and I will set up as a 4-player game just so that we have a limited space to show you what will be going on. There'll also be a leader token in here too, so that determines who is basically leading the ship that's going out and going on a quest is pretty much how it works in the original, and you've also got various other tokens in play too. And that relates to ultimately what you can be aware of. So the optional characters that you can be aware of. We have these base characters as well, which I'll just show you in this particular game. So for example, Morgan Le Fay is not affected by the magic token, which I'll get onto in a second. So here's some basic cards and some optional characters, very thick card stock as well. You're gonna have these, which I'll leave in a second. So what else do we need out? We will need out some bits relating to the various characters. So are people going on these quests? We're obviously going to have a token relating to that. We're also going to need some other things out too, such as those leader tokens, which you've already seen. So, yeah, are things going to be successful? Here we go. We're going to have a veteran token, and indicates that basically a player has already acted as a leader and not been chosen to lead another quest. See one of them. Again, those leader tokens are all in different baggies over here. And let's just grab out what we might need. So, let's have a look through some various characters you can play as. The Law Sons of Arthur, so basically a non-ish character. I know for my first couple of games that happened too, and that's quite interesting because it's a bit like a villager in a One Night Ultimate Werewolf, which you may have played. And the advantage of playing something like that is, especially in your first couple of games, you just kind of mill along, and if you're not sure what to do, yeah, you can feign ignorance. Now, there's that leadership token, so obviously you're showing that you are leading. It's important to know that because you might be on a good team or a bad team, and it means that people can start thinking what you're doing. So that's something that's important. We've talked about basically once you've been a leader and you moved on, you're showing that you can't then be a leader again, at least on that next particular round. We've talked about these various cards representing your loyalty. So for a number of players, if you're playing it as a 4, you're going to be shuffling these up, and of course then you won't know who is playing with whom, and it's very much a game of paranoia, trying to figure out, are they doing something to kind of keep us alive, or are they doing something to basically tank our ships? So you're going to be going out on a mission. You're going to pick who you want to have. So for example, in a 4-player game, you're going to have the loyal servant of Arthur, which we've just seen. We're going to have 2 of those. We're going to have Morgan Le Fay, who we've talked about, who's not affected by magic, and we have the Scion as well, representing evil. So 2 baddies and 2 goodies. Just to let you know about that Scion of evil, just to know who that represents. They are also known to Morgan Le Fay. They do not know evil. So basically, the Scion will be known by Morgan Le Fay. So this evil person will know who they are, but that person will not know who they are. That's important because this person could be helping this person, like, oh great, they're helping me. And then hopefully that person then might figure that out and then of course be able to assist. The downside, of course, if this person's helping this person out, then the loyal servant of Arthur is going to know that. So the aim of the game is we're going to go out on quests. You're going to bring someone to get out on your quest. And for example, in a 4-player game, you're going to be going out on quest on the first quest, and then you need 2 people going out. So you're going to bring someone with you, and naturally you want it to succeed. If you succeed, fantastic. Then we move on to quest number 2, and the leadership token can move on. And ultimately, you're bringing 3 people. 3 of the 4 people are going on the quest, which means there's at least 1 baddie on there. The downside is if you choose to hand in a success card or a failure card, the downside is if you hand in a failure card, then you are then revealing yourself that you are obviously one of those baddies. But if you are a goodie and you're leading the quest and you bring in 2 baddies, and both baddies bring up a fail, then the leader, of course, will know that both baddies are there. So this is when you are picked to go on a quest, you're going to be given both these cards. You're going to shuffle them up and then decide which card you want to be the main card you're playing, which will be the bottom card here. You're going to pass this card to someone who's going to tally up the cards if it's obviously going ahead. And then this is going to be the other deck of cards. So this is basically what you're not playing. The person is then going to shuffle these cards up and reveal and see what has been played. And if you have, for example, a success, great, it goes ahead. Another success, it goes ahead. And that can well be enough. So that's something to be aware of. So let's run through that a little bit more. I'm very much giving an overview for the game at this point. So as I said, for a 4-player game, you are all going to give each other a character. So that's going to be shuffled up and obviously decide, you're playing with characters, which characters. But in a 4-player game, remember 2 Loyal Sons of Arthur, they don't have any special role. Morgan Le Fay and Minion of Mordred. Okay, so that's, and Scion. Then you're doing the reveal stage. So once you've looked at your characters, you're going to say, everyone, close your eyes. Scion, extend your thumb so that Morgan Le Fay may know of you. Morgan Le Fay, open your eyes and look around so that you know you're Scion. Scion, reform your hand into a fist. Now, it's very important when I played this game before, is you do not leave your thumb inside it, because that makes a noise. So leave it on the outside and just do this, okay? And also when they say, Scion, raise your thumb, do not say the word okay. I've seen that happen many times, then you have to do it again. Morgan Le Fay, close your eyes. Everybody open your eyes. And that's it. Now, Morgan Le Fay knows who that person is, and hopefully they can bring them on a final quest and win the game. It's very much a game of when you go on a quest, if you're a baddie, you do not reveal yourself early on, but ultimately you want to make sure that if there's 2 of you obviously on a trip, that you don't necessarily both want to do a fail, because you could get revealed, and obviously whoever's the lead in the final round, they might of course then ensure they're only picking the good people, because they're only taking 2 people. That's in a 4-player game. There are alternatives as well. So depending on how your player count, you could be playing obviously as an 8-player. You're playing with more characters. You're bringing on to obviously 5 of those 8 characters are going on here. As a 5, obviously you're bringing on 3 of the 5. It is better at higher player count because of the uncertainty. My favourite is actually playing as a 10 with Oberon, but that's another story. So for example, as a 6-player game, everyone's going to close your eyes, and Minions of Mordred and Morgan Le Fay, not the changeling, are going to open their eyes and look around so they may know of each other. And then Minions of Mordred and Morgan Le Fay, close your eyes. So basically they're helping each other, and then the changeling is an evil person, but they don't know who obviously is evil. So that's how it's going to work. The gameplay is consisting of several rounds, and each round has a team building phase, a quest phase, and a transition phase. The game ends with a final quest phase. So the team building phase, after appropriate discussion, the leader token takes the required amounts of team tokens. We're thinking, who do we want to go on the leader first? Who's going to start that off? And then ultimately going to take respective amount of tokens relating to this location. Okay, so then what's going to happen is you're going to assign your team token to any player. So you can say, all right, you're going to go on this mission, you're going to go on this mission. Naturally, the leader should be going on this mission because it's very suspicious if they don't. It's implying that they are obviously a baddie and not going on it, which is terrible if you're a baddie, but also terrible if you're a goodie if you're not confident that you're going to succeed. So it makes no sense that you wouldn't go on it. And as I said, in a 4-player game, 2 people are going to go on that first quest, then 3, then 3, then 2. Then it does vary, of course. So the leader can be on the team, as I said, but it's not required so. And we've also talked about some other things. So after a leader picks a team, they can choose a player in which to play the magic token. The magic token can place the magic token on themselves, and the player with the magic token on them may not play a fail at this quest unless the role indicates otherwise. So we have already talked about the various characters in play, and the fact that the Scion, as we saw here, obviously does not know evil, but Morgan Fate is not affected by the magic token. So if you happen to bring someone with you, you've got 1 in 4 chance that ultimately you're picking someone who then isn't affected by magic. So that's why obviously the leader team has a slight advantage, because I said, look, you cannot fail this mission. Naturally, the baddie does not want to fail the mission, because if you imagine we've got player A, B, C, D, player A is the leader, and they bring player B is a baddie, and then obviously they fail this mission, well, that's not good, because straight away the leader, this team will know that that's a bad team. So for the rest of the game, whoever isn't an evil person is never going to bring this person with them, because they're always going to be potentially playing failure missions. So that's how that works. Then we have the quest phase. So to do a recap, the leader then passes out a set of those quest cards. So obviously one of these fail cards and one of the success cards to one of each team members. Each player on the quest selects a quest card and places it face down in front of them, and good must select a success card unless otherwise indicated by the role, and evil players may play a success or a failure as they're choosing. Obviously, if they've got that magic token, they've got to play a success. The leader collects and shuffles all those quest cards as I mentioned, and then obviously only if there are successes are you going to go ahead. So it has to be completely successful for it to go ahead, and the quest fails if 1 or more fail cards have been played. And the 4th quest, and only the 4th quest in games of 7 or more players, you do require there are at least 2 fail cards needed to obviously make there a fail. So normally you only need 1 fail card to appear for it to be a failure, but in a 7-player game then or more, then you need to have 2 fails. So ultimately always play success cards. If you see any fail cards, you failed that quest. So then what happens? Well, we resolve it. And yes, if you have succeeded, you're placing out a blue counter representing over here to show that you've passed that test, and you are then obviously going to play a red one if it's failed. They're quite clear cut as to what they are. They look like this, blue and red. So they're going to go out here. So initially we can place this out, and the good thing about these tokens is that they are double-sided. This could be negative if you flip things over, so they could go here, and then we move on to quest 3, so it nicely builds up. The transition phase, this is the 3rd part of those 4 parts of this particular phase. Once the outcome of the quest has been revealed, the leader can then choose which player will lead the next quest. They can't pick a player who has a veteran or an amulet token, which we mentioned briefly, and the new leader will then take the leader token and gain a veteran token. Okay, so amulets, they're used for games of 6 or more players. Basically, after the results of a quest have been revealed, if there's an amulet token in a space just after the completed quest, the leader must select a player to retrieve the amulet at the same time they choose the next leader. The current leader may not pick a player who has an amulet token or a veteran token to receive the amulet for this round, nor can they pick the same player as they're choosing to be the next leader. Then, after the next leader and the next amulet holder have been chosen, and before the next quest commences, the amulet holder acts. They may check the loyalty of any player who has both not received an amulet and have not checked by an amulet. Just to remind everyone, I recommend playing a lower count initially, maybe ideally as a 5, and then working way up from there. The players, this game takes about 20 minutes. I'll get more into my review in a second. The player also checks as passed to the loyalty cards and must secretly select and pass to the amulet holder the card corresponding to their allegiance. The amulet holder looks at the selected card. They discard both loyalty cards face down so no other players will see the selected player's allegiance. And then the end of the round. The next round begins in the team building phase. The game ends in one of 2 ways. So 3 successful quests, 3 of them, and you win the game for good. Good wins, the game is over. Obviously, if you are good, you win. You win on behalf of the good top guys. If you happen to be representing as an evil character, then 3 failed quests allows you to win, or 2 in a game of 4 players, as you can see here. So 2 of them, and then obviously you can win if you're evil, and then you proceed to the final quest. Either good or evil can win at this point. Okay, so final quest. So we've done all this. If 3 failed quests, or 2, as I said, in a game of 4, you enter the final quest phase. The final quest phase proceeds with a discussion, and then either blind hunter hunts or good has its last chance. So this is where it gets very interesting. This is the discussion phase. So all players have 5 minutes to discuss who the minions of Mordred may be. Minions may cause confusion, they may lay low to escape discovery, or even come clean about their true loyalty to give the blind hunter the maximum amount of information. Like I said, you're going to set a timer, and once 5 minutes are up, all conversation must cease. So there's a few other characters that you can be aware of. So for example, the blind hunter, should you play with a higher player count to have them in, they do not know evil. They must activate the hunt during the final quest. So in this hunt phase, now you obviously will need those optional characters to be playing in this. The hunt is only included in games of 6 or more players when using the blind hunter. So I did mention that before, about 6 players. And if they don't want to hunt, they must say silent, and the game enters good's last chance. The aim of this part of the game is basically to say, well, evil lost, but what we're going to do now is say, okay, well, we are so confident that we know actually who is evil, and it's your chance to redeem yourself. So that's it. So you only play this final quest if evil had lost. And then what you're going to do is the blind hunter is going to identify 2 good players by their roles, and if they do, then they win. If they guess incorrectly, then good wins, and then again ends if the blind hunter hunts and there's no good's last chance. So basically that's how it's going to work. So in terms of good's last chance, each player gets a chance to accuse. At the count of 3, each player goes 1, 2, 3 and points at 2 players holding their hands in the air, and then announce, minions of Mordred, drop your hands. So everyone's going to have their hands in the air, and at which point only good players should be pointing. So everyone's going to be pointing. And then basically, if you are minions of Mordred, you're going to drop your hands. So then you're going to look at only whoever good is pointing. So now you know who's good. And then the good players are going to be pointing at all the evil players and only the evil players. Then you, as the good players, will win. Otherwise, evil wins. There's a rare chance when the leader for each quest was evil, then good wins instead. So that's basically it. There's some secret roles. As mentioned about, there's this obviously optional characters. There's the director's cut. So the review. Straightforward game. You're picking characters. You've got 4 characters, for example, in a 4-player game, shuffling them up, giving them out. You're going to take people on a quest. You obviously don't know who they are, but through successes and failures, you're going to help work things out, or by who people are picking, how people are behaving and acting. It's more streamlined than the original. It doesn't have an app, which One Night Werewolf does have, which is great. I do like the card stock. They're very good. The components are very good too. Nice text. More optional characters, which are great. I do like the board. I think the artwork's good. I love the original artwork though. Aside from that, there's more variety. As a review, 7 out of 10. I think this is a strong game. I think 7 is a bit too weak actually. I think slightly higher than that. It's in my top tier of social deduction games, but it isn't my favourite. There are others such as I think the Chameleon and stuff, which I kind of prefer more, which isn't quite in the same vein. It's not in the same party genre, but it is a quicker experience. It isn't as quick as One Night Ultimate Werewolf, which is like a 5 to 10 minute game. This is more like a standard 20 odd minutes, but more like 25 minutes if you are playing it, if you played Avalon. Highly enjoyable, definitely recommend it. Very cheap as well, considering the amount of stuff you're getting in this box. I like the fact that obviously you have the various layouts. It's a lot more streamlined, like I said. There's a lot less debate, so you're just getting straight on to actually the mechanics or the mechanisms of what is the motive behind what various people are doing. Excellent rulebook, as I said. I was mainly, to be honest, reading, as I said, off it because it's so good, and I think it just does it such a great justice. We talked about obviously how you can play things differently, how you can change things around. Even the fact that I have this, I love these envelope, is really good. Thematically, I think it works better in this game too. Not sure why they wanted to go with the name Quest over other games, but still highly enjoyable. So that has been the game Quest. This is by Indie Boards and Cards and Don Eskridge, and it says 30 minutes. Yeah, I think it's less than that. Very nice, neat, shiny box. Highly enjoyable, highly recommended. Any questions, please let me know in the comments, and YouTube is best. Via the description on YouTube, you can go through and support the channel via Patreon. There's 2,500 posts over on Instagram. Please follow along there. And lastly, please do like and comment in Facebook. Also, there are various playlists. This is the AmassGames playlist, how to set up, play and review playlist, etc. Please do share, and speak to you soon. Back to the table.